and then that the politicians make the management, the administrators and the technical staff do the management, or should you involve the different stakeholders over the whole process in terms of getting them an ownership on the whole process? But at least to start with, participatory planning is an important issue. So if it comes to the different countries, Finland, of course, does have a very nice inventory of sport facilities also for the whole country. They did use the per capita approach, but it's no longer the state-of-the-art that they use it. They have more sophisticated methods, need assessments by survey, and also they have a long experience, at least in some municipalities, with participatory planning of leisure time, physical activity infrastructures. And all these approaches are then, for example, included in a sport development plan at the local level. In Germany, the situation is very similar. We do have inventories. Per capita approaches are no longer applied so much, but we do have quite sophisticated instruments of need assessment by survey. And also we do have more and more impact by participatory planning approaches in this area. In Portugal, we do have inventories, a very nice one, like here the city of Porto has developed a very good, a nice one. They also apply per capita approaches. But need assessment by survey is not so well developed, but they use it in some of the municipalities. They started to use also to look at the population levels and sport clubs. And participatory planning is, actually I didn't find approaches in Portugal which already apply participatory planning. And Lithuania, the situation is that they do have inventories, but they do not apply other approaches, so no need assessment and no participatory planning and also no per capita approaches. Type of infrastructures, as I mentioned, we do have these three types that we were looking for, and now one issue is the situation comparable in these four countries? Do they have kind of same infrastructures? What do you think? You can think about it in a moment, or are there huge differences between the countries? The situation in Finland and Germany is quite similar, I would say. So all types of infrastructures are represented here. You do have nice sport facilities, of course, but you also do have infrastructures with playgrounds and parks which are designed to be physically active. And also you do have bike lanes and other urban spaces designed for public physical transportation. In Portugal, the situation is that you had, I was very positively excited about what they did in the last 10 years in developing very nice sport facilities, also, as I mentioned, in terms of decreasing the gap in social inequality. But they do lack urban space, usually for human power transportation. So what we heard today was biking and walking, that would be something very important to implement there. I don't know if they really could copy the situation from Copenhagen to Lisbon or to Madrid. Probably they should start with Vienna, a city that really faced also severe problems with car traffic, and now try to find intelligent solutions for this. But this is why we have this kind of very broad group of international countries participating, so that we can see what is also probably a most similar approach, and not just to start with a very different countries that can learn from each other. And with Lithuania, as I mentioned, there are new sport facilities mainly built by private sector. But I also learned that about 30% of the former sport facilities has been closed. So the situation is worse than it was at least with the quantity of sport facilities as it was in former periods. So for discussion or for conclusion with regard to policies, we see in all participating countries more or less a structural dilemma due to the intersectoral organization of competences and jurisdiction. So it's, as I mentioned, very difficult for the health sector, public health, which is very interested in promoting physical activity, to get the sports sector involved, to get the right links to the urban planning, and at an umbrella level, intersectoral policy is not really realized in participating countries. So I believe it's important to have a vision on this, but I believe it's a very, very difficult task. It's not easy, it's a structural dilemma to overcome, and it's very hard work, but it's worth to work in this direction. And then, of course, national support for local development differs from sector to sector and between countries, as I mentioned, Finland or Norway, and I think it's the same holds for Denmark. There's a quite strong national support for local development compared to other countries like in Germany or Lithuania, where there is a very limited support by the national level for local development. And the second conclusion related to mechanisms, it shows that actually different approaches of planning can be used to address the issue of social inequality. Even a per capita approach like in Portugal can be used to fight social inequality if you are going to build infrastructures in deprived neighborhood. But from my own experience with all these planning approaches, I think that participatory approaches, as for example applied in Finland, can very much contribute to stakeholder involvement and in particular could give disadvantaged group an equal say in the planning process and development process and implementation process, and at the end might give them also the ownership. And this is crucial in terms of acceptance of planning and also to get these people at the end involved in physical activity. And you, as I already mentioned, a lack of a systematic approach and might lead even to an increase in social inequality when, like in Lithuania, private investors would come in and the market, the logic of the market is the only thing that comes into consideration. That does not mean that it's not important also to involve in a cross-sectoral approach the private sector, to make this point very clear. It's very important and a good thing to involve them. However, if you leave everything to the market, that might be the result. And the issue of equity between countries, finally, there are obviously differences between old and new member states in the development, and this might be also something that the EU Commission and DG Sanko might think about in terms of their future added value, what they can, how they could contribute to decrease the gap, to close the gap between countries and probably give particular support to new member states. So this is actually what I was going to present, and this is finally to give credit on the one hand to my colleagues from the different countries who are lead partners, for example, in the policy section or mechanism section, dissemination sections. You see the senior researchers and also to give credit to my colleagues in Erlangen, Karin Obroma, Annika Fraser, and Peter Gedius, who prepared this presentation, and of course are very crucial for running this whole project. Thank you very much.